All right, let's get started with the next session. I'm pleased to introduce John TYRRELL, Creative Director of Cosmo Cover. John's game industry career has been marked with campaign success for companies such as Nintendo, Atari, and Cake. Today, John will share with us Small But Smart drives success with international PR. Please welcome John TYRRELL.
Hello. Hello, so my name's John. I'm from Cosmo Cover. We're a boutique PR and marketing agency based in France, international PR and marketing agency for games, specialist in games. This session, Driving Success with International PR, Smart, Small But Smart. This is aimed to be a PR primer for small companies, small organizations taking their first steps into a wider world of communications. So, first things first, a little disclaimer. I'm afraid to admit that I stole every single image in this presentation from the internet, so I'm sorry about that, and my apologies to the people that they actually belong to, but there we are. I'm not the first, won't be the last. Okay, you're a small business. You're probably working in the digital domain. I'm guessing you're somewhere in the games industry, somewhere. So, you haven't got a lot of money, however. This is a common problem. This is the reason that Cosmo Cover was formed as an agency responding to the needs of small businesses coming into this world, trying to find solutions that they could afford. So, you want to communicate about your games. Maybe you're a studio, self-publishing, thinking about self-publishing, looking for a publishing partner. You need to get people talking about you or about your products. And the question is, how do you do that? How do we do that through PR? Well, we have a solution, the Cosmo Cover S-Factor Small But Smart PR program. So that's what we're going to look at, a few S's today, a few S factors that hopefully will help you form useful PR campaigns to drive your business forward. So a quick note on PR first. What is PR? There's a million different ways to answer PR. What is PR? What I think it is stories. Telling stories to people. We're all storytellers. Michael, who just did the last presentation, he was a fantastic storyteller. Very good storytelling. We know all the greatest icons of presentation are brilliant storytellers. They pull people in. Why do we want to tell stories? We want to engage people. And we want them to remember us. So whatever you're thinking about doing in PR, remember that you're a storyteller. Who are these people? The most obvious one is journalists that we want to talk to, but then it goes broader than that. Our friends, the bloggers, the fans themselves, and our peers, our pixelated peers within the industry. These are all audiences that we may choose to communicate to with PR. And what are the stories we're trying to tell? Well, there's different stories that you're telling. You're telling stories about your business, for example, your company. You may want to use PR to help attract new staff, for example. Presumably, you have products or services that you want to talk about, so you're using PR to talk about those as well. You may have an IP that you want to talk about. These are all tied to your business objectives. What are your business objectives? What things do you want to talk about? Where are you going to grow your business and make your money? And this is all tied to the stories that you tell through PR. So, PR, the magic wand of PR. What can PR do? PR, in marketing, we take customers, consumers, on a journey. And one way of representing that journey is the classic marketing model, which is called AIDA, which is about taking customers from the point of being aware of your product, being interested in your product, wanting your product, and finally taking action, which means giving you money. That's where we want to get to with our customers, right? Now, PR can have an influence on all these different stages of customer response. However, what we find is that the impact of PR will lessen the higher up here you go. So that means PR is great for creating awareness, very useful for growing interest, can help to create desire, and can indirectly help to generate sales as well. But here's where the real action happens with PR. So PR is useful, but it is not a magic wand, unfortunately. I've worked in-house where I've heard many times marketing directors say, Guys, we've got no budget on this title, so we're really going to focus on PR, as if somehow PR is enough on its own to do the job. It's not. PR works as part of an integrated marketing communication campaign, which means advertising, SEO, social media, trade marketing. All these different things need to come together. PR, don't leave PR on its own. It won't give you what you want. What can you control with PR? There's lots of things you can control. The main things are you can control your message, what you're actually saying. Seems obvious, worth reminding ourselves, and we also control who we send it to. What we can't control in PR, of course, is how people react when they get your message and what they do with your message. So the goal of this today has to be to try and optimize your PR process to avoid this result. That's the goal. So here's a few suggestions of how to do that with our S-Factor Small But Smart PR program. First S, strategy. It's a big word, but I think the most important part of any strategy is sitting down with a nice cup of tea and a biscuit. Thinking is highly underrated in terms of preparing for anything you do in life. Take time out, have a sit down, think about what your goals are, what are your objectives, what's your business, what are you trying to do? How do you do it? How do you tell people about your game or service? First thing you think of PR, oh, let's write a press release. It may sound counterintuitive. You think, well, hang on. No, the first thing I do shouldn't be writing a press release. But do you know what? I think writing a press release at the start of any campaign is a great way to start. It helps you in so many ways. It helps you define what your USPs are, what your key messages are, what your competitive positioning is. So even if you write one at the very start of your creating your strategy and you don't use it, you shouldn't use it, it's a great exercise to go through. So write a press release, see what happens, see how it comes out. But don't put everything into your document and email it out. Once you've done that, think about your targeting, think about your business objectives, who you're talking to. Think about your competitive positioning. I'm sure you've all drawn millions of these. Can't see me. Think about your competitive positioning. So here's a very silly little competitive positioning matrix I drew with some of the products that we've been working on recently. So you can see hard game, easy game, cunning game, daft game. This is the kind of exercise that is great to go through to understand where you sit in the marketplace. Very useful. So go through all of that. And once you've done that, let's think about you. Have you got the skills to do PR? Have you got what it takes? Now, PR isn't rocket science. It's not rocket science. But neither is it a walk in the park. PR isn't as easy as you might think it could be. Anyone can buy a global media database and send a press release out to every journalist under the sun. But will that work? Probably not. I met a guy last year who did pretty much this. He had a small development studio. They bought a database. They sent a press release out to everybody they could think of, and they got almost zero back. Why? Because no one had ever heard of them. New company, didn't have any relationships, didn't have any follow-up, no feedback, nothing, got nothing. I know another guy, a lone developer who makes apps, and he has fantastic results. He gets great PR, communities, talk to him, local press coverage, loads of PR on websites. How does he do that? Because he nurtures the people who really count. He seeks out the individual advocates who are really interested in what he's got to say, and he builds relationships with them. And that's what you need to do. It's the classic, get on the phone, talk to people, grow the relationships, and it's the classic 80-20 marketing rule. You will get 80% of your great support and value from 20% of your contacts. So don't bother going after 100%. You can't do it. Even we can't do it. Concentrate on the ones who count. So, another S, self-help, DIY. If you're going to do PR yourself, you need to work out if you can. It's not something that you can do in a few spare minutes a week. Even the magical unicorns can't add extra hours to your working day. So you need to work out if you have the time to do it. Managing databases, writing press releases, tracking your coverage, following up, building relationships. All of this takes a lot of time. There's lots of useful tools out there that can help you. So it's worth getting to know some of them. For example, there's some great emailing tools that you can use to do bulk emailing. You probably know some of these services already. Things like your mailing list provider and MailChimp provide you with a WYSIWYG editor for your HTMLs and a great database management tool. Very useful. But you have to take time to get to know these tools so you can use them properly. There's lots of databases of media contacts out there, international media databases. Vocus is the one that we use. There's also PR Newswire out there, lots of others. So do some research, find out what's going on, find out how you can use the tools. You need to decide if you can do this in-house. Can you do it yourself? If you can't, how much can you afford to pay an agency? Now, an agency might cost, for example, €3,000 a month for an agency. I would never recommend a campaign of less than 3 months. That's a lot of money. Can you afford to do that? Can you afford not to do that? I would never recommend, if you pay less than that, you'll get what you pay for, quite frankly. And I think if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing well. Simplicity. Keep your messages simple. Remember, if you can't say what you want to say in a few words in the subject line of an email, then you need to go back and do it again. You have to be efficient. Writing emails is the same as writing a press release. The title is your subject line. If people don't like what they read in the title, they won't read any further, so make sure they do. When you're writing, remember the 5 W's of communication. Get to know your product. Make sure you know what your product is, everything about it. Who are you? What are you doing? Where are you doing it? When are you doing it? And why are you doing it? Make sure you've ticked all of those every time you're writing a document, a communication. Not everyone can write. If you're localizing in a foreign language, please get a native speaker to do it. Please, I beg you. Or use an agency, a specialized agency. Don't use someone who translates fridge manuals or your neighbor's boyfriend's dog's window cleaner just because they speak the language. It's a poor investment. Use somebody who can actually write, the great scribe. There he is. SEO, search engine optimization. Of course, this is about making sure that you're driving discoverability of your information. This is very important in PR now. We think of press releases like web pages. For example, here's an example of a press release we write again. Now we send out HTML emails, and all our press releases are stocked online as searchable web pages. This helps drive discovery. So you need to think about your press releases as you would think about web pages. Think in terms of titles, keywords, search terms, dynamic links. Make them living, vibrant documents. Give yourself a grounding in basic SEO if you haven't already, because it will really help your PR efforts as well. Spoilers. Now remember, we're telling stories here. We're all storytellers. I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones. There's probably a few other people in here who are as well. Now then, if somebody had told me that at the end of Series 1, Eddard was going to get his head chopped off, I would have been furious. So the point here is, don't tell your whole story on the first page. Think about the messages that you want to say. Think about the long-term story you've got to say. Break it up into bits and tell people one chapter at a time. That gives you a reason to keep going back to people with new stories, with updates. Very important. Plan it, of course. And I think when you're writing your press releases, the most important thing for me is to get on stage and sing. This is about telling stories. This is about being creative and having fun. If you have fun writing your press releases, your readers are going to have fun reading them. So make sure you put all your creativity and joy into everything you're doing. When you're ready, scheduling, sorry, nitty-gritty, the nitty-gritty. Let's get down to the operational stuff now. Scheduling, you've got to think about when you send stuff, especially when you're dealing internationally. Every country's in a different time zone, different public holidays. I live in France, which is a minefield of public holidays, days to avoid. Think about when you're sending your information. Of course, We all have working weeks, so do journalists and bloggers. They all have working weeks. So when do you send? When should you send your messages, your emails? Well, frankly, probably the same for you, but Monday, I just want to get through the day and go home, get through your emails, get out of there. Friday, everyone can't wait to leave. Same with journalists. They don't really want to do much on Mondays and Fridays if they can help it. Afternoons, well, okay. After lunch, I don't know about you, but I'm a bit slower after lunch usually. If you leave it till the evening or late afternoon, yeah, they may read it, or unless it's really important, they'll probably leave it to the next day, which means it's buried under a pile of new emails by the time they get to it again. So, the sweet spot. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings. If you're sending an email, send them on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings. Dead easy. Spam. Our friend spam. Avoid spam, of course. You're always walking a fine line between keeping in touch with your contacts, trying to grow these relationships that you're trying to grow, and not driving them crazy with too much spam, too many emails, too many Facebook posts, too many tweets. Control yourself. Judge it. Always be aware of what's happening. Always think about what value you're giving to your audience. Don't clog up people's inboxes with big, heavy emails. Think about it. If you were receiving this message, is this something you would want to receive, or would you just file it straight away in delete? You need to turn your messages into something that they can't wait to open. So think about how you would do that for you, and then do it for them. So send your message. Send your email. Get it out there. Release your PR baby into the wild. Email, Facebook, Twitter. We have very active Facebook and Twitter pages where all our communications go as well. I'm sure lots of you do too. All of this works together to help drive discoverability. Very important. So send it out there. If you're using email software, they come with wonderful dashboards that give you all kinds of exciting information. How many people opened your email? How many people read it? Who did? Who didn't? Use that information. Use it to improve how you communicate. Change your messages. Try different messages. Try different keywords, different word order, different titles. Keep changing things. Improve the way you do it. Don't just ignore it. Use it. It's there. It's free. And then, once you're out there, sell. Sell your message. Sell your story to the world. Get on the phone. Follow up emails. If anyone gets back to you with a warm lead, try and find a reason to get them on the phone. Email's okay. It's a great start. The phone is great too. Phone is even better. Start building some real relationships, meaningful relationships with people. Remember, these people that you're talking to, these journalists, press, bloggers, they're all fans and enthusiasts just like you. And they love people who are enthusiastic and fans as well. So you show them that you're a fan and enthusiast as well, and you will find yourself creating very meaningful, powerful relationships with them. In a few months, you can find yourself with a dozen really, really strong relationships that will last for your whole life and will always bring you value wherever you go and whatever you do, if you're doing some PR. Right, the last thing, see the whites of their eyes. I have to admit, I've not seen many games journalists or bloggers with eyes that beautiful. But this is the thing. This is the best bit, where you actually get to meet people. And this is the whole point of events like this. Email's great for first contact. Getting on the phone is fantastic, but actually getting to an event like this and actually meeting people face to face is where the real magic happens. So events like this, any of these events, wherever your press, your bloggers, your fans, your peers, wherever they are, go and meet them, go and see them, go and see what they look like. Buy them a beer. That's it really, isn't it? Many a valuable, lifelong relationship has been formed over a beer in a bar late at night. So there we go. There's a few little pointers. Our S-Factor Small But Smart PR program. I hope that was useful in some way. I'm available. You can contact me directly, ask me any questions about my ideas on PR. What we think about it, how we do it. You can call me or email me. And thank you all very much for listening. Hope you have a great day, and I will see you at the bar. Thank you very much. So, do you want to do any questions? Anyone got any questions now? Yes.
No, 5 minutes. We have
Oh, you don't have a question. We've got 5 minutes. If not, you can, yeah.
Hi, my name is Boštjan. I wanted to ask you what's your opinion on timing when you are self-publishing a game and you want to start your communication before the game is released, and what should you communicate and when?
Wow, what should you communicate and when depends on what you've got to communicate, of course. It's complicated in this world of new games and online games because it's turned the PR model on its head. Working in the agency side, in the publisher side with traditional games, it was always very much, you would have, minimum 9-month campaigns, sometimes 2-year, 3-year campaign before a game would launch. It would work right up really crazy until launch day and then stop. Now it's the other way around. Quite often we don't start until launch day. And then you build a campaign that can last 6 months after the launch day, and you've done nothing beforehand. It depends on what your needs are. One of our clients, for example, is InnoGames. And they, originally, they weren't doing any pre-launch PR for their MMO browser-based RPGs. But what they found was when they started doing pre-release campaigns, they now insist on doing a 6-month campaign prior to any launch. And they found it brings huge value in creating buzz. So I would always recommend that you start at least 3 months, ideally 6 months before a campaign. But like I said, you have to plan your stories, what you're saying at each stage. You can't tell everything on the first day, and you have to think about what things you've actually got to say to people. And then it continues, so now the campaign will straddle the launch on both sides. And you're working a lot harder, to be honest. It's longer, it lasts longer. Does that help answer your question? Good. You're not allowed to ask questions.
Sorry, it's a simple question, I promise. With the scheduling of sending out news to press, when you're dealing with a global campaign, how do you deal with the time differences?
We work with local partners, so we will always we handle all the stuff in Europe ourselves when we're working. So that's easy. You have a fairly narrow band of time zones to deal with, and then when we work with people who are much further afield, say North America, for example, we'll work with local partners to actually deal with things locally. Local is very important when you're dealing globally, of course. Some point I probably should have made. It's very important to make sure that you're fitting the individual markets with what you're doing in terms of messaging, timing, style, all of that. I should have done a style slide up there. That would have been good.
Are there any additional questions? Going once, twice. Let's give John a warm round of applause.
Right. Thank you.
For those of you who are interested, the next presentation's in about 5 minutes, actually 10 minutes, so you have about 10 minutes until we're going to start.